So in this video, I wanted to briefly go over some of the key kind of features of the workout that I did today. Not necessarily like the specific details of the actual ride that I did, but just some of the general ideas motivating what I chose to do today. And I hope that that maybe helps you like in your thinking and planning about your training. So specifically, I wanted to highlight that you should do the best that you can with what you have available, and don't beat yourself up over not being able to do as much as you might want to do. Also, something is always better than nothing. If you have, the energy and the time and the resources to go do some training or to work on something that you're trying to work on, it's much better to do a little bit of something than to do nothing because you're, attached to some grander scheme that you like wanted to go out and do 2 hours of something, but you only have an hour available. Look at the hour that you have and try to make the most of it. I'm in that instance where I wanted to ride longer today, but I didn't have time for it because I had a lot of work. And so I had to think about what my priorities were for the workout that I had and then try to make the most out of what I had available. Today I really would have loved to go for a longer ride and to do maybe some longer threshold efforts over on Diablo or something like that. But I've just had a lot of work going on the last few days, so I ended up getting out relatively late today and really kind of needed to keep it to a lower total volume. But after having a lot less intensity the last few days, I felt that I was likely going to feel pretty decent and be able to do some sort of intensity. So today I rode maybe half an hour to warm up, and then I did 3 by low 11 minutes pretty hard with about 5 minutes in between. And then I came back down the hill, getting back home after that, since it's mostly downhill and then across town, it's 15-20 minutes at the most. And that's one of my favorite very efficient workouts that gets me a solid 34-35 minutes of threshold work in. An amazing aerobic workout. I get all the work done, and I'm done with the workout just a little bit past an hour into my ride, and then I can get home in an hour 30, hour 40. From where I live in Berkeley, I ride up Spruce Street. That's a 10-minute climb, and then go through Tilton Park, and it's maybe 25-30 minutes of warming up, just doing that. Maybe if I need to do a little bit extra, I can do an out and back to Inspiration Point and get 30 something minutes of warm up in. But then there's a nice little loop in the middle of Tilton Park up Shasta and Golf Course and Grizzly Road from basically the bottom of the park to the very top of the park. And then there's a very fast, pretty steep descent down South Park Road. It just takes 3 or 4 minutes to get down the hill, even if you're not really trying to go that fast. So it's an amazing little spot where it's half an hour to warm up going up the hill. I can do, let's say 11, 12, 13 minutes pretty hard up the hill, 3 or 4 minute descent, maybe 5 if I want to spin out my legs at the bottom before going back up again. I can get, 35 minutes of threshold or slightly above threshold work with all of 10 minutes of descending in between each of those little hill repeats, and then I can ride home, and I'll get home an hour and a half, an hour 40 into my ride time, and it's that's pretty great. If I wanted to, I could go up 4 times, and that would be I could finish that, be done within 2 hours, and that's as much time at threshold with very short rests in between as I would get if I went out to Mount Diablo, which is a much longer climb in the area, but it takes an hour and a half to get out to Mount Diablo, and then I'll get up to the top a little bit over 2 hours into my ride, at least, depending on which route I take. And it's I would definitely try to pay attention to what the routes are like around you and see if there aren't really great places where you can go, do some hard efforts if you're trying to get some high quality training in a short period of time. See if there aren't faster ways to maybe get down the hill, or there are always some routes that are better than others for making the descending time much quicker. And that way you can spend more time climbing and getting your efforts in, less time descending. And usually those are the ones that have not a lot of tight twists and turns, not a lot of intersections or any intersections. So you can just, go down without stopping. And then usually the climbs that are better for doing good efforts are the ones that don't get way too steep that you get bogged down in your gearing, and don't have intersections, and just have a mostly pretty steady grade. And a lot of times you can look at different loops that you might have and see that doing the counterclockwise direction versus the clockwise direction, sometimes it will just be more efficient for you, where you can spend a lot more time pedaling if you go one direction versus the other. just because of the nature of how the descents work and whether or not you're riding your brakes the whole time and going through some tight turns. I would much rather go up a twisty ascent and then down a very fast kind of straight shot descent, because that way you can get way more time pedaling and way more workout in a given amount of time. I think that's about it for this video. I just wanted to highlight, something is always better than nothing. So if you have energy and you have time to get a training session in, I would, encourage you to do that. If you need to postpone a workout because you need more time for it, just work with what you have available. And given whatever resources you have, usually your time and your energy, try to make the most of it so that you are, getting the best satisfaction and the best results out of the process of training and practicing and getting better that you can. And sometimes that might mean that you shift your workouts around. Sometimes that might mean that you modify your workout a little bit, like I did today. But there's always ways to try to keep moving forward, even if there are lots of things in flux and you can't always do exactly what you would want. But that's it for this video. I'll see you later. Thanks. Bye.